Hello, I'm joining you today slightly disappointed because I really wanted to call this video All the Small Things and reference Blink 182 and maybe build some things and do it a bit funny with that. However, I have some small things, but given the time of year and the actual title seems to be a bit more appropriate for today. So, hello, I'm Georgie, aka Crafty Rogue Gamer. Welcome to my channel. Welcome, we've had a few new subscribers, so welcome in and then welcome back if you've been here before. Primarily we talk about cross stitch. We also have a bit of black work every now and again. We go off on a lot of tangents and we have like live stuff at the end usually, but not today. Today is exactly what it says on the tin. We're going to review my 2023 stitching, see what works in progress I'm carrying over into 2024 and look at plans for 2024. I thought I'd bundle in a WIP Parade as it seemed a bit disingenuous just to do a separate video on it because I dragged everything out a few months ago. So everything's time stamped if you want to skip anything, and we're going to go December 2023 wrap up and overall stats, finishers, inactive WIPs, active WIPs, 2024 new start because I have one of those, and then 2024 plans. We'll do a bit of housekeeping, so I've got no animals here at the moment, so there'll be no animal interruptions because I have too much stuff out around me. I have a lot of stuff everywhere. They are chilling downstairs. If you see anything up on the screen, that's my lovely other half, JC, who very kindly spends time editing my videos for me. So grab a drink, put your feet up, grab your stitching if you're doing some, and let's begin. Right. For prosperity, it's the 3rd of January, I forgot to mention that. I don't know whether this video will be going up on the 3rd or the 4th because JC has some racing that he's doing tonight in his sim racing league. So I'm not sure if he'll be too busy to do that by the time I actually finish getting it recorded. And I'm just looking down there to make sure it is recording because I've done this bit at least 4 times now and it just stops or I don't start it properly. So yeah, okay, we're recording, it's all good. So anyway, December. December is a month of panic stitching. This is becoming somewhat of a tradition or a habit. We'll call it a tradition because that sounds better than a habit. And yeah, for me, panic stitching works. I wouldn't recommend it unless you work well under a decent amount of stress and pressure and under time frames. It's very tight time frames. But basically what happens is it gets to October, November time. I go, those things that I thought about during the year that I thought I'd stitch for people, for presents, I really ought to start working on those now. And then like something happens and it becomes the 1st of December and I'm like, yeah, I've not started yet. I really need to do those things. Hence panic stitching, solidly. I worked on 8 projects this year in December and I managed an unheard of amount of stitches for me. I think it's an unheard of amount of stitches. I don't ever recall pulling this much in a month. And it's a bit of a guesstimate because paper patterns, I can't count. I rely on Pattern Keeper. It doesn't include back stitch and speciality stitches and fastening doofers onto thingies like notions and stuff like that. But I recorded 13,402 stitches in December, which is great for me. I know other people can pull a lot more. I know some people do less, but I was dead chuffed with that. And I think I know. Did I get all of those projects finished? I think I did. So anything that I finished in December, we're going to have a look at finishes in a little bit and I will show you them. So 2023 overall, I had 2 stitchy goals. Okay, so stitch goal number 1 sounds relatively easy. Sounds relatively easy, but when I say it, you're gonna know what I mean. So my first goal, number 1 goal, was keep up with 1 stitch along. Okay, keep up with 1 sal. Now, we all know how this goes, yeah? Stitch alongs end up, we have the best of intentions, yeah? And it's a start along and we're prepped and we're ready and we're good to go and we're doing all the things and we've done the frame or we've done part 1 and yeah, everything's spot on. And then stuff happens, life happens, other projects happen, and it sort of all falls by the wayside. So this year I really wanted to keep up with 1 stitch along. Okay, that was my sadly that was my main goal because I do like a stitch along. Okay, if you're not sure what one is, if you're here for the first time and you're not really sure what I'm talking about, a stitch along is a piece of work, piece of cross stitching where the designer splits up the design into parts and then they release a part every so often. Most of the time they're a mystery, so you don't know what that's going to be. Been burned by that before because sometimes they're not my aesthetic, but generally speaking, it's a load of fun. Hardly anyone keeps up with the actual time frames for releases. If you do, well done. Like, seriously, well done, because that's why it's a goal, because I normally don't. And yeah, so that's what stitch along is. So yeah, that was goal number one. I've got this pile here because I've got stuff in the pile. So goal number two was to have 15 finishes. Okay, 15 finishes in 2023. Now, yeah, I did it. I did both of them. You'll hear the story of the 15 finishes shortly. I did it. Both my goals. Okay. So I got in 15 finishes. I kept up with one style. I just got 15 finishes. I worked on 20 projects overall in 2023. I've got 7 fully finished projects, and I started tracking my stitching, I won't say more rigorously, but those are the wrong words, because it totally wasn't rigorous, else I would have counted the paper patterns properly, and I'm pretty sure I haven't. However, I took note in a better way of my stitching, and I started using Notion to record what I was actually doing, which is fantastic. I love Notion. It's an app, it's a web app, and it's absolutely fantastic. You can build your own customizable things. There are some templates out there. Stitching Atti's got a really good template. Bobo Jessie Stitchers uses Notion as well. So who else uses it? A few other people use it. I know Jo, Stitchy Cat Lady, uses it, and someone whose name, who I know, who's just dropped out of my head, will come to me later. Yeah, so quite a few stitchers use it, and it's absolutely fantastic for building your own project customization tracking. Okay, so I did that. So according to what I recorded, I did about 60,000 stitches overall this year, and that's just crosses. That's not including back stitching. It's a guesstimate. Well, it's paper patterns, people. Paper patterns, okay? So yeah, I didn't stitch for a few months though. I went AWOL for quite a while, as you know, or you might not know. I went AWOL for quite a while. I definitely didn't stitch anything in January, June or July. July was due to Diablo 4 being released, and I put about 500 hours into that rather than cross-stitching. However, that was fun. That obviously impacted my stitch count overall. However, any progress is better than no progress, so I am super happy with my 60,000 stitches for 2023. That will impact my plans for 2024, and we'll talk about those after you've actually seen some cross stitch. So I'm paranoid now. I'm just double checking it's still recording. Okay, so finishes. You have to excuse me because I've got notes down here and I've got stuff over here, so if I don't look at you, apologies. Finishes. All my finishes in 2023 were new starts in 2023. That's not to say I finished all of my 2023 new starts, but it just so happens that's how it's worked out this year, well, last year. So what we're going to do is have a look at what I've actually got, and then anything that's been gifted, I'm going to ask JC to put some pictures up on the screen. However, the first one we do not need to do that with because I have it here. And JC actually walked into the room while I was prepping for this and went, I've not seen that before. And I'm like, I finished it earlier this year. So here it is. Number 1, first finish of 2023, God Creates Dinosaurs by Forbidden Fibre Company. I started this on the 8th of February 23 and finished it on the 3rd of April. So here we go. Now, this is 167 wide and 138 high in terms of stitch area, and I stitched it 2/1, and it was part of a kit. So the kit was a Jurassic Park mystery kit, and everything came in it. So the fabric is prehistoric, and it's actually showing up pretty good, pretty well. And all the threads are hand dyed by Forbidden Fibre Company, and they all were included too. You also got a project bag and a needle minder. So that is finish number 1, and I absolutely love it because I'm a big Forbidden Fibre Company fan, but I'm an even bigger Jurassic Park fan. I love my dinosaurs. So that was a paper pattern, and it was on the cusp of the time when I found out about Notion and I came back to stitching and I started tracking things properly. So I've estimated this at around the 5,000 stitches point, 5,500, that kind of thing. There's not obviously, but see the little fellas running away from dinosaurs there. There's a bit of back stitching, but not too much at all. But what is there works and makes it look fantastic. Yeah, Ada's prehistoric at 16 count. That was on a 16 count hand dyed Ada. So there we go. Finish number 1. Finish number 2. Okay, we don't have finish number 2. Right, where am I going to put these? Okay, what am I meant to? There we go. Okay, so finish number 2 was Moongazer. So JC, if you wouldn't mind putting Moongazer up on the screen. Now, Moongazer is a Bothy Threads design, and it's actually part of the Wrendale collection that they do. So Hannah-Dale's like animals. There's a lot of, they don't just come in cross stitch form like the Wrendale stuff. It's super cute. I do really love it. I'm not into cutesy kind of thing. I mean, if you can't tell, we're not into cutesy in this house, but there's something about the Wrendales and the characters, and like it's just sort of like little personalities of the animals. I love animals, so I guess that's it. They all seem to have a bit of personality, so that's what I love about doing them. So Moongazer was a gift for my mum for her birthday. I started it, talk about panic stitching. I started it on the 4th of April 23. I finished it on the 23rd of April 23, and I gifted it to her on the 24th. So yeah, that was a good little panic stitching session. I actually fully finished it for Christmas as well, so it was sort of like I did get her other things for Christmas, but it took ages to find like a frame or something that we liked, and then it was a bit, not awkward, but just like trying to get it so the tiger looked okay anyway. So hopefully JC will have put definitely a picture of it up finished, but then a picture of it up fully finished. Now, irritatingly, in the fully finished in the frame, you can't actually see the crease lines at the bottom and the side as badly as what you can do in the photo. Like, but to the point where I'm staring at it at my mum's house thinking, I'm going to have to pull that out. I mean, I did iron it. Well, okay, I didn't iron it. JC ironed it because, okay, I was going to say there's only one pair of us with good hands at the moment, but neither of us has a pair of good hands at the moment. But JC's right hand works fine for ironing, whereas my hands do not work great. So, yeah. JC, why are there still creases in it? Huh? He's not going to iron it again now. So, anyway, tangents. That was a 111 wide by 132 high. It was stitched 2/1, and it was on 16 count Ada, the nice speckled Ada that all the Wrendale stuff comes in from Bothy. They start to do even weave now. I've not tried the even weave. Creature of habit. That is all. The threads come with the kit. You get a needle, you get obviously the pattern, you get like a stitching guide, you get 2 patterns actually, you get the cross stitch and the finishing because there is a bit of back stitch in there. I estimated that, okay, I recorded it at 8,049 stitches, just the crosses, so it'll be between 8,000 and probably 8,200 stitches to be done. So yeah, Moongazer, finish number 2 for 2023. Finish number 3 has also been gifted, so I'm going to ask JC to put it up on the screen shortly, and that is called Boxer, and that is from Icarus Stitches on Etsy. I got that from their Etsy shop. I started this on the 19th of May and I finished it on the 29th of May, so this has been gifted to a very good friend, and I stitched it on 18 count Ada grey clouds, and the grey clouds is Claire Brown X Stitch, who stopped doing fabrics. I think someone took it over, the printed fabric business from them. However, I don't think they did printed clouds again, printed grey clouds again, and I am gutted because that's my favourite fabric, like for everything. I mean, you'll see in a second, but I love it, and I've got like a stash of it left, not much of it left now, and I'm like begrudgingly using it, knowing that I can't get any more of it. So yeah, I am slightly gutted about that. But there we go. Anyway, so Boxer is stitched on it with a call for DMC, and it went into Pattern Keeper, so I recorded it at 1,020 stitches. There was some back stitching in there, as you can see, but yeah, that was a nice little piece, just as a bit of a hi, and I appreciate you, and something that I thought a friend would like. So there we go, Boxer. Stitch number 4. Okay, we have this. Number 4 was Bewitching Pumpkin. You gonna catch up with me? No. I have black card over here. There we go. Bewitching Pumpkin. Make it tangle. Yay. Okay, so that is a Mill Hill kit, and I started that on the 29th of May, and I finished it on the 17th of August. Now, it didn't take me until the 17th of August to finish. That's just the points between where I started prepping to play Diablo, possibly, and then got sick of season 1. So, anyway, that is 40 stitches wide by 40 wide by 36 high. Is that right? Yeah, it is. And that is it's in a kit, the Mill Hill kit, so it is like sort of plasticky. I think a couple of people call it like paper canvas, but it's not. It's like plasticky kind of stuff, and the threads come with it. Obviously the pattern comes with it, all the beads come with it as well, and I just think that is super cute, and I love the colours. I'm not a pinky person, not like a light pink, but brights and neons and bright colours together. So I actually really love the colours on that together, and that's what first drew me to it. I know a lot of people have done it. A lot of my friends have done it. You know, Morty's done it. I think Joe's done it. Carrie, Jen's possibly done it. I don't know. Has Rin done it? I'm not sure. Anyway, loads of people have done it. I wasn't the first, but I got inspired, enabled by people. So yeah, that is my Bewitching Pumpkin, and I put it at 1,052 stitches, which probably includes the beading, because so when it's a paper pattern, I take a photo and I load it into Zodo, which is a PDF reader, but it lets you dot like crap bingo. And yeah, so because on the pattern the beads are actually look like stitches, I'll probably have dotted the beads to cross them off to make sure I kept track of where I was going. So yeah, that'll probably include the beads. 1,052, providing I can count, which we know I can't. So there we go. Okay, maybe there we don't go. So you can see the little beads on there. You can see there's a little charm. When I get my hand the right way, there's a little charm to attach there. Bits of back stitching as well. So yeah, really, really cute. Love the colours. Mill Hill Bewitching Pumpkin is finished number 4. Dare I throw that on the ground? Okay. Number 5. We have number 5. Okay, number 5 is Greenhouse of Oddities Stitch Along, and that's by Lola Crow. So let me get rid of that. Let me grab this. I started this on the 30th of April 23, and I finished this on the 23rd of September. It was a stitch along, so the actual stitch along dates were 14th of April until 18th of August. So I wasn't that far off, and I think it was monthly releases, so I sort of finished within the final month from when that pattern got released. Because if the last one was 18th of August and I finished it on 23rd of September, I'm going to call that pretty close to being an actual when I should have finished it. So here we are. I love this. I mean, I could gush about Lola Crow patterns every single day. Every single time I do a floss tube, I could tell you how much I love Lola Crow stuff. Like, really, really love it. It's so unique. Like, you can tell something's Witchy Stitcher, you can tell something's Lola Crow, you can tell something's Night Spirit Studio, you can tell something's Mamba Witch X Stitch. You know, so absolutely, that is Lola Crow all over. And I absolutely love stitching it. My favourite bits are the bits that you couldn't see until you like stood back. So like, I don't know, I was stitching this part here. Ooh, there we go. And I didn't realise it was a mouse. It wasn't, it was like these plants here and the little like wall there, I think, and like these things here. And then sort of like I sat back, lifted the fabric back, and I saw it was actually a mouse. I was like, oh yeah, that's so cute. But there are little creatures all over. So let's do an animal tour. You've got a little frog there, and you've got a little mole there. Ooh, there we go, a little mole there. So yeah, you had a couple of options in terms of you could pick which sort of famous, oh crikey, I'm just like looking down now and seeing like all the fluff on it, all the well, not corgi glitter, the cat hair. But yeah, there was one choice in there. I could pick who to stitch here. So I asked JC and he said Charles Darwin. There's some back stitching in there. I can't see any French knots. I don't think there are any French knots. But yeah, look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? So it is 160 wide by 208. No, other way around. It's got to be 160 high by 218 wide. Stitched it 2/1 on my favourite fabric that I'm running out of. 18 count Ada, grey clouds, Claire Brown X stitch, which you can't get anymore. Very upset. I stitched it with the called for DMC, and not including the back stitch, it went into Pattern Keeper, so I have it at 15,905 stitches in total. Oh yeah, one last look, last close up. Apologies for the creases and for any bits of fuzz that you spot. I have lint rolled all of these before I put them away, but I've got 3 cats and 2 corgis, so yeah, there we go. Right, so Greenhouse of Oddities by Lola Crow, finished number 5. Stop, just fold properly, thank you very much. Okay, oops, sorry, not the microphone. Number 6, Chronicles of Narnia. Okay, so this is here, and it's by Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts, which is also the Stitching Book Club. There we go. I started this on the 25th of September 23 and I finished it on the 21st of October. This was a stitch long. It was in 3 parts, and yeah, I didn't even start this on time. So this actual sale dates were the 4th of April. You see, I've written down 23 and it wasn't. It was totally 22 until the 18th of August. So yeah, this was like well over a year overdue. Not overdue, because we start things when we want to start things. But yeah, well over a year after the sale had actually closed its doors, I actually stitched this. But I love the colours. Lean in here. Now, I did make some changes with the pattern. What changes did I make? I can't remember. I changed that blue where it says The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, because it was supposed to be a lighter blue. I didn't think it showed up properly. I changed some of this here because there was supposed to be, I can't remember how it was now, but this pattern obviously repeats there, the little sort of the diamonds and the squares. Now, the issue was there was 5 on one side, I think, but then 4 on the other, because to take into account like the letters of the names of the children, but like that made me itch inside. That made my brain itch because it wasn't symmetrical. So I've like done a bit of faffage and redone that. So it was sort of, we had a bit of symmetry there going on. There was also some not symmetrical stuff, or not quite symmetrical stuff, like in the borders there where it goes from like purple to blue to purple from the edges, and like here as well. So basically everything that made my brain itch, because I thought like my brain notices things like this, and it might well have been charted like that and meant to have been like that. However, I couldn't cope with it, so it got changed. And now I'm much happier with it. I love the colours. So again, bright colour, even though it's like muted, like pastels, just the colour combinations of stuff together, I absolutely love that. So yeah, what have we got for stats? It is 97 wide by 128 high, stitched at 2/1, and it's just on an 18 count Zweigart Ada. It's just like a white opal. I don't think it'll pick it up very well, but like an opalescent. You've got the, nah, it's not going to show it at all, is it? Shiny, shiny. Promise. Scouts on her. Brownies on her. What's brownie? Yeah. Crikey. That came from the recesses. Okay, so yeah, 18 count Zweigart Ada, white opalescent. I stitched with the call for DMC, slightly tweaked the pattern. It went into Pattern Keeper, all 3 parts, so I got it at 4,420 stitches, not including the back stitch and finishing bits and making it fancy. And there's a lot of fanciness in there, so I did a lot more than that, but I only count the crosses because life's too short to count the back stitch. Life's probably too short to count the crosses when it's a paper pattern, but you know, here we are. Okay, so what's that? That's number 6. Okay. Excuse me while I turn a page. I might grab a drink as well. Ooh, what have we got next? What have we got next? I prefer spooky. That's what we've got next. This is by my really good friend Jen. Wolf Down the Rabbit Hole has a floss tube. Please go check Jen out. She's an absolutely amazing person, fantastic stitcher and pattern designer. She's got lots of patterns up on her Ko-fi, so please go and check that out as well. Now, I had the pleasure of being gifted this to test stitch it, so I prefer spooky. Wednesday inspired, Wednesday on Netflix when that got released. I started, now, okay, back up. This one I have stitched twice, okay? So I stitched the first one, I think that was my last finish of 2022. Yeah, I think so. So I stitched I Prefer Spooky on this year, second time, 6th of October 23 to 22nd of the 10th. And I fully finished it on the 17th of December to give to a friend. So this is actually my original stitch, okay? Because the other one got framed and given away. I can't remember if I took a photo, which is why I'm showing you this one. But if I did, then JC is going to very, very kindly put me it up here somewhere. If I did get a photo of the finish, you'll see it is slightly different because I made my S capital S, because we like spooky with a capital S in this house. I do anyway. JC, not so much. He's always game though. He's a good sport. He puts up with me. So this pattern is absolutely amazing because it looks so good to stitch up and it is super quick as well. So it's 66 wide by 46 high, and I stitched it 2/1 on 18 count Ada. It's called Anti-Valentine's Ada, and it's from the Stitchy Ferret. They dyed it. Sophie. So the thread is just DMC 310, I think that's the called for, and it is 834 stitches because it goes into Pattern Keeper. I love the combination. Again, I'm not a pinky pink person, but the pink with the dark, I mean, you can see the variegation on the fabric that's coming up really well. And yeah, that just, yeah, I love that. Well done, Jen. That's a fantastic pattern. It's a pleasure to stitch and it comes up really nicely. So yeah, I prefer spooky. So this is mine. But the one I actually stitched this year got given away, but I thought I'd show one anyway because I can't remember if I took a photo or not. You'll all know by now. Anyway, I feel like I might have. Possibly not in the office. Did I take one after I ironed it? I don't know. We'll have a look. We'll find it. Or not. So, the next thing, my next finish, so what's that, number 8? I think, yeah, this one's number 8, is Moonlit Owl. And this is another Mill Hill. I started this on the 28th of October 23, finished it on the 31st of October. So here we go. Spooky owl. Spooky owl. Now, it's supposed to be a magnet, okay? But we don't like magnets in this house. I have too many animals. Okay, back up. I have too many animals that knock stuff off. So like traditional cats, like they see it, they swipe it, they play with it. So my fear is magnet gets stuck up, cat knocks off, dog chews, dog eats magnet. That's my fear process. So I didn't want to finish this as it was intended as a magnet. I wanted to do something different with it and I asked for opinions. There we go, I can see it a bit better now. I asked for opinions and Morty said, why don't you get one of the like sort of pegboard thingies from IKEA. I love IKEA. I love an IKEA trip. So why don't you do that and do it as a hangy thing? Because I thought I've done the other one as a hangy thing, so I was quite happy with making it a hangy thing. And I've got enough beads from the other stuff as well, from like all the other kits and things. So, and leftovers from this one. So I think it's going to be made into a hanger, like, oh, I'm throwing it on the floor, like Bewitching Pumpkin. And we're going to do some sort of display of them where the dogs can't get them and chew them. I'm not sure where that's going to be. I'm looking around the room thinking, where could it be? Could it be in here? Might be in here, might not be. Anyway, in an animal safe / monitored room, that's where it's going. It is 40 stitches wide by 35 high. It's on sort of the Mill Hill canvas again in the kit. Everything comes with it, the threads, the beads, all the lot. And this was a paper pattern, so I counted it at 961, and that'll include the beads but not the back stitch. So one last look. Shiny beads. I do love that out. Again, it's like I keep saying, I'm not a pink person. Maybe I'm a pink person. Maybe I'm like a specific pink person, like that sort of fuchsia pink. It's going to show it up like that. No. There we go. One last look. Right. Next. We are on to did I only work on 7 things? Or I'm missing something. I'll work it out. Okay, so sorry, I'm trying to do like we know how maths goes. I'm trying to do maths because I'm like, I stitched on 8 things in December, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. So I'm missing one. I'll figure it out at the end, and I'll JC will kindly add it back in or correct me, or I'll correct myself. So anyway, regardless, I stitched Christmas Friends next. So Christmas Friends is a card, and that got gifted, sent to its recipient. So JC, if you would kindly put the Christmas Friends finished picture up here. I think we had 2 together, 2 nice pictures together, so it might be with stocking fillers. Christmas Friends, if it's like together with the other one, is the one on the blue background with the fox and the little robin. It's very, very cute. I loved it. I was like, can I keep this one? Can I not give it away? But I did. I gave it away. So I started that on the 1st of December and I finished it on the 5th of December, and it got fully finished on the 10th, and I think it got posted off around that date. It was 64 by 64, it's stitched 2/1, and it's a Bothy threads kit. Like, like Bothy threads. It's not a Wrendale, it's part of the Margaret Sherry collection, this one. The Margaret Sherry animals are also quite nice to stitch. Super cute. And it came out, it's quite decent size. It's probably about 4 by 4 inch, so about 10 by 10 centimetres. Everything comes with the kit. You actually get the card with the kit as well. So that was quite nice. Everything's in there. And as well as the paper pattern, which means I counted it, and I got it at 1,343 stitches, so 1,343 stitches. That doesn't include the back stitch, any speciality stitches, any in that one. I think it was French knots. Yeah, there was French knots in it, and attaching any of the little notion-y motifs to the little star thingies. That's not included in that as well. So that is Christmas Friends. Got my notion of like looking at things now. Going, I'm sure I worked on 10 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe I only worked on 7 things in December. Anyway, I'll have a look. Distraction. Tangent. Okay. She says still looking. Stop it. Right. So the next one, you may have seen it if the jewel picture got put up, but that was stocking fillers. So that is, again, a card. It's a kit. It's Bothy threads. It's Margaret Sherry again, and you get everything. So you get the card, envelope, the threads, pattern, age to stitch it on, everything, absolutely everything is in that kit, including a needle. I started that on the 6th of December and I finished it on the 9th of December. That was fully finished on the same day as the other one because we posted them both out together to different people. So that was 70 wide by 50 high, stitched 2 over 1, and it was a 16 count Ada in the kit. It's quite a nice size. It came up sort of 5 by 3 inch, so like what, 13 by 9 excuse me, centimetres. Apologies. Okay, so it is now the 5th of January. It only must have seemed like a few seconds for you. However, just before I said okay now, the phone rang on the last video, and from what we can, it's the same video for you, on the last bit of recording I did, and very kindly Vodafone, I reached over for my phone, it was here, they called and I answered it and I somehow muted my mic, so I have about an hour's worth of video that was like chef's kiss. It was amazing and I'm really proud of it. I was so happy, and yeah, there's no sound, so yeah, for continuity I have done the same hair and clothes and things. However, I am recording this 2 days later as I have spent a significant amount of time slightly sloughened. Now, sloughened is a Yorkshire word as far as I'm aware, and JC is up there with some of the words that he hates me to use, like corset. He really hates that one. However, sloughened is, it's a feeling. It's a feeling of like, not mopey, but just sort of gutted. I guess gutted is the best way to put it. So absolutely just like in the pit of my stomach. So I had a bit of a pity party for one, and this whole video almost didn't get put out. However, JC has basically bullied me into doing it. So we'll crack on and we'll finish my finishers, and we'll have a look at my whips and my one new start for the year. So here we are again with sound. Okay, so I know when I last recorded this bit I did take the opportunity to have a look on Notion and see what was going on, because I was like having a bit of a difference with the 8 and 7 things. Now I've worked on 8 things but I finished 7, so that was where the maths was like sort of messing with me slightly, so we're all good. I know what's going on there now. Alright, if I keep looking down at my notepads here, so that's possibly better over there. Not that it makes much difference. The next finish number 10, because we've just done stocking fillers, is Corgi Gift. Now, I'm calling it Corgi Gift. I don't think it was actually called that. Corgi Gift is a little kit by Hobbycraft, and it's part of the Hobbycraft Craft Your Own. So JC's going to put a photo of what I finished, and possibly the little box as well, because I made a slight difference to it, I made a slight change to it. So this was a gift, a card for my dog groomer, who does an amazing job, because Rocky is fantastic, Nova is a diva, shall we say. And yeah, so my groomer got cards and like Heroes chocolates and shortbread and all sorts, just as a bit of a token of a thank you for putting up with my dogs, and making them smell amazing. So I stitched the little gift and the little corgi in the box, but I didn't stitch the antlers because I wasn't really keen on them, and I think it turned out okay. Now, unlike the other cards that I did, this one didn't have everything with it. It said on the front 3x3, if it's 3x3 aperture card, and then it got to like the day before I was due to give it to her, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't have any of those. So we had a quick trip to the range. I had a quick trip to the range, got some cards, and lined it all up and cut it, and JC cut it all, and it looked absolutely beautiful. It was absolutely amazing card. I didn't get a photo of it. Sorry, JC. It looked really good, and I'm sure that she appreciated it. So yeah, I only have a picture of that because it's been given away, and I don't have a picture of the fully finished object, even though I promise it looked absolutely amazing. Okay, so I started that on the 10th of December, and I finished it on the 10th of December, and I fully finished it on the 11th of December. It was 21 by 37 high, but I think that includes the antlers, so mine will have been slightly shorter than that. And I stitched it 2/1. Everything was in the kit. There was loads of thread left, absolutely tons of thread left in the kit. You could do it like 3-4 times over. It was a ridiculous amount of threads in that kit, and it was paper, so George Maths, I worked it out of 503 stitches for me, and that will be without the antlers. Okay, so before we go on to finish number 11, I'm just going to pause now and play this back and make sure everything looks okay, and that everything's recording absolutely fine. So give me 2 seconds and I'll be right back with you. Right, we are good. All is well. Let's crack on. So, Corgi Gift was number 11, not 10. So just so I double check things. So that means my next one is finished number 12, not number 11 like I thought it was. And I have it here, and here we go. So this is Feathers. I love Feathers. Feathers is beautiful. Feathers is a gift. Yeah. I want to keep it. However, it's okay because it's a gift for B. And what I've thought, once I've sort of reflected on this, is that she's going to grow out of horses eventually, and at that point, it's mine. That is mine. So we're all good. Everything works out in the end. It might just take a couple of years. Now, I started Feathers on the 10th of December 23, and I finished. Now, finish is a finish, and before Christmas is before Christmas. I finished Feathers on the 24th of December. It got wrapped. He, she, they, I don't know. I've not decided. We wrapped Feathers up as a present. It around some card. That's why we've got those creases in there, and then just popped it in some paper. It's like the acid-free cardstock that I've been using to show stuff earlier, and yeah. B loves feathers. Eventually she'll grow out of feathers. So it's a Bothy Threads kit again. Wrendale again. I love these ones, even though they seem to mostly be giving away as presents. Apart from this, I'll get back. So I've got it down as 105 wide, 133 high in terms of stitch count. I stitched it 2/1 on the 16 count Ada that was in the kit. It's a nice speckled Ada that comes with these kits. There are even weave, but again, I've not ventured into the even weave because I'm a creature of habit. Everything comes in the kit, all the threads, fabric, needle, 2 charts, one for finishing, one for just the crosses, and I counted it because it's a paper chart, so an exact approximation according to me was 6,527 stitches, not including the back stitch. And I think you'll agree the back stitch is not a massive amount of it, but it does just set it off quite nicely, apart from the dangly thread that we've got going on that's not going to go away. So yeah, feathers eventually to be mine. Not yet though. So we didn't fully finish because I actually legitimately wanted to ask Bea what kind of frame she liked, because she's of an age where she has opinions on how she wants things to be in her room, which is great because she's got her own style. So we went to IKEA and had a look at a few frames, and we'll be going back at some point because I love an IKEA trip to grab something, or we'll get something similar online. So yeah, that is finish number 12, feathers, which will then bring us to finish 13, which I don't have. Okay, so finish number 13 is another card. I had a card here. I tend to do cards for 3 people, and then my dog groomer deserved something, so it isn't just, she's not normally my normal rotation kind of thing. So Scandidia was the next card, so JC's going to put a photo of it up on the screen because it's been given, and it was a card for my mum, and it's a Bothy Threads card, creature of habit, but it looks so beautiful. So this Scandi range, I gave one to my mum last year, and it was a fox. So there was a fox and there's a deer, and there is also a dove and a hare. So there's 4 cards in this Scandinavian style range, and they're just beautiful. I love how they look so much, which is why I keep stitching them. And then I bought the fox so I could stitch it for myself, and I'm going to have to now do this with the deer because I like them. So I started this on the 24th of December, and I finished it on the 26th on Boxing Day. Now, we didn't have Bea all of Christmas Day, so JC went and fetched Bea from her mum's at after lunch, so she'd had a Christmas dinner there. So for us, our Christmas dinner day with my mum was Boxing Day, so that's when we did everything and had all the food and stuff like that. So I didn't feel massively bad that it was just a teensy bit late, and it was pretty much finished apart from the beading, to be fair, but I just couldn't have done the beading. It would have just finished me off. So I apologised to my mum on Christmas Day when we went down for a few hours and didn't have a massive Christmas dinner, but she got it the next day on our Christmas Day, on our Christmas dinner meal. So that's all good. In terms of the stats for it, Scandidia is 64 by 64 stitch count, 2/1, and the fabric is a 16 count blue Zweigart Ada. It's really nice to stitch with. In the kit, it's sort of, I think it's 4 by 4 inches, 10 by 10 centimetres finished, and everything is in there, just threads, beads, Ada, pattern, needles, all that kind of jazz, that's all in there. Paper pattern, so I had to count it, so I'm thinking it's about 709 stitches, but that is not including the back stitching, and that also isn't including the beading, because I know I beaded sat with the pattern on my knee and not tapping things off on my tablet. So that 709 is just the crosses, not anything else. So that's Scandidia. I do love those. I really do love the Scandinavian, the Scandidia, and the Scandi. I was going to say seasons then. Scandi collection. Words. All the words were in the last iteration of this without sound, and they were fantastic. The words might not be so good in this one. So, Scandidia was finish 13, which brings us to finish 14. So, picture the scene, okay? It is the 30th of December. Okay. And I have 13 finishes. I've also just stitched on something I really, really wanted to stitch on for myself after all the Christmas stitching and the gift stitching. And so it got to the 30th of December, and then my brain did a thing, and it does things. I don't know why it does these things to me. I don't know. Anyway, and not obviously, but you sort of like you have targets sometimes for the year and plans for the year, and my plan was for 15 finishes. And at that point, I really wanted to stitch on the thing that I really wanted to stitch on, which I'll show you in a minute. But my brain went, you could totally finish 15 things. You've got 13 done. And I was like, oh, why did you say that? And then there was a chain of events that lasted sort of maybe 5-10 minutes with me back, like to and fro with my head going, that's a really stupid idea. Why would you put yourself under that? And then my brain going, but you could do it, and that'd be good dopamine, wouldn't it? That'd be like, you'd be so satisfied with that. So that's what led to this. Now, so 30th of December, can't remember what time of day it was, probably the morning, to be fair, or morning, afternoon-y kind of time. And so strategically, okay, if we're going to get 15 finishes and we've got 13 and we've got 2 days to get the 2 done, we need smalls, like we need super smalls. So I busted out the Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas cross-stitch kit by RP Minis. Is my saviour. So there are 4 patterns in that box in a nice little book. It comes with, for 4 patterns, it comes with 3 cut pieces of Ada, which is just stupid in my opinion. Because if there's 4 patterns, why wouldn't you include 4? Maybe it's a conspiracy with the Ada manufacturers, with Zweigart, maybe it's a Zweigart conspiracy, to make you buy more fabric. But not that we all have any trouble with buying more fabric, eh? However, I started on the 30th of December and finished on the 30th of December 0. How cute is 0? So with 0, I made a bit of a change because they charted it that the little pumpkin was to be all yellow like the eyes and the mouth, and then the eyes and the mouth were to be black. And I was like, no, 0's nose glows. It ain't yellow, it's more orange. So there was orange in the kit for a different pattern, so I just robbed some orange and then stitched the pumpkin face with yellow. And I'm really happy with how that turned out. And it was, come on, focus on the 0. Why are you not giving 0 love now? Anyway, we'll go from here. So it is 28 wide by 31 high in terms of stitch count, 2/1. I reckon it's a 16 count Ada. I know I could have pulled a tape measure out and had a look, but in the way it felt like it stitches and the way the black looks, it's 16 count in my opinion, or thereabouts. It's not 18 count. I know 18 count. It's not 18 count. Everything was in the kit. There's loads of threads in the kit. There's 2 needles, loads of threads, like I say, a little pattern book, 3 pieces of fabric for the 4 patterns that are in the book. And I got that at 185 stitches, not including like the back stitch in the face and around the pumpkin and that kind of thing. Now, so that was one of 4 patterns that I pretty much did as it should have been. The sensible thing, okay, yeah, the sensible thing would have been to do the other pattern that was like this amount of stitches and this amount of coverage, because this isn't white, this is just like, those aren't white stitches, it just left the fabric empty. So I followed the pattern, and a finish is a finish. I could have, yeah, I should have done Jack. Okay, so one of the patterns that's included is Jack's head, and JC is going to pop a picture of that up here so you can see. Another of the patterns is Jack and Sally. Now, unpopular opinion, I'm not a Sally person. I'm not massively keen on Sally at all, for no particular reason. Probably a few particular reasons, to be fair. But she is not one of my faves, so I tend to dodge Sally stitching. Now, Sally related things. So, and Jack and Sally, I'll get JC to pop a picture up of Jack and Sally here. So Jack and Sally together was out. The sensible thing would have been to do Jack's head to match Zero with, you know, no block stitching, just an outline. I didn't do the sensible thing. I did the thing that, well, not that I won't want to do Jack's head at some point, but I did. Why did I do this to myself? I did it. I did the moon and hill scene. I did this. So I could have got away with what, like 150, 200 stitches. Are you going to focus? There we go. I did 733 stitches, and I started it on the evening of the 30th and finished it on the 31st. Now, bearing in mind that we've got a bee to entertain, and I did a trip to the tip and to the shops and various other things, I did good to bust out that amount of stitches. Not that I should have done. I should have took the quick win, the easy option, but I didn't. I did not take the easy option, people. I should have done. Would have been less stressful. So again, imagine the scene. So there's me like frantically like, come on. I had metal on, I had like music on, so listening to like whatever I can, just sort of like Disturbed, Alter Bridge, all kinds of different things. Anyway, Linkin Park, all sorts. And B likes to try and stay up till midnight, and she's apparently, well, she's supposedly done it 2 years on the trot, although I don't remember doing it last year. I'm sure she was asleep. However, she came downstairs because the dogs would have been woofing and stuff anyway, and she was doing bits and bobs in the bedroom. She was making bracelets and things, and so she came down, and so I have my music on, like only one earphone though, so I didn't have my headphones on, just had one earphone in, and so her and JC are talking and playing with the dogs and stuff, and I'm like me frantically stitching, and then she goes, how long is it till midnight? And JC goes, oh, it's 57 seconds. And I was like, I've got 7 stitches to do. And I've done the quickest 7 stitches that I ever have done in my life. So that got finished at 23:59 UK time on the 31st of December. Yay! So that, finished 15, met my targets, met my goals. Should have done Jack's head, it would have been less stressful. So it isn't quite as it should have been, so there should be Jack and Sally standing on the hill. I'll ask JC to put the picture of what it should look like on there, but I was never intending to stitch that, and even if I was, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, I genuinely wasn't going to do that because I like the scene as it is without them standing on the hill. However, it wouldn't have got done at before midnight if I had them. So yeah, super happy with that. Terms of stitched area, 32 wide by 30 high, 2/1, same as previously. Everything was in the kit, and like I say, 733 stitches. Yeah, that's the way my brain works, isn't it? Hey ho. So those are my 15 finishes, and actually I can show you now. Here is my part art for 2023. It'll focus. You're gonna focus. You're not gonna focus because it's too shiny. So every year I get pot for Christmas, and I don't particularly like. I mean, I used to drink. I could party, but now I'm all grown up, and not that you can't party when you're grown up and drink. However, because I'm a carer for my mum and I was a carer for my dad, it's just easier for me not to. However, at Christmas, I have a bottle of port, and then that gives me my port art for all old random threads or old raggedy threads or whatever, however you want to call it, for the next year. So this is the fruits of my labour, for my leftover raggedy ends and things. You're gonna, that's alright. For 2023. Which is quite cool because you can sort of see you should be able to see the layers of what I've done. So you can see down here, that's Moongazer, and then you can definitely see where the Chronicles of Narnia was, like the purples and blue in here. And then you can see feathers, and you can see The Nightmare Before Christmas, and you can see lots of other bits and bobs in there as well. So yeah, it's a really nice way of commemorating the stitching for the year and getting to drink alcohol for me. Not that I drink it like a grown-up, I have it as cheeky Bimtos, if I'm honest. Pot and lemonade, because I'm an adult. Right, so 2023 stuff. Right, I can ditch this now because I'm done with that. And now we can talk about works in progress and things that I've carried over. Okay, so let me scroll up on here. And we're gonna go inactive stuff first, or what hasn't had any love in 2023 for various reasons. Now, like I said at the beginning, it felt a bit disingenuous to do a WIP Parade after, like, a couple of months ago I dragged them all out anyway, so it felt a bit weird doing it this is a separate video because you've already seen all this stuff, which is why we're jamming it all together. So here we go. Right, so I started Finding Fantasy on the 24th of April 2021, and it's a Heaven and Earth Designs chart, and the artist is Rob Carlos, and I made a sterling start. It's massive Heaven and Earth Designs, and I counted the stitches this time, to be fair. So this is 227 stitches. That's what we're rolling into 2024 with on this piece. It's a fantastic start, isn't it? Do we get the fabric out just for context? So this is top left. Yes, top left. So in the grand scheme of everything, you can sort of see the state of that. Has it gone? The state of that. I've lost it. It's like a blanket. I've got to pull that back now. I shouldn't have done that. It's fine. Okay, so like I said, I started this in 2021, 24th of April, and it's on a really nice, actually, Zweigart 28 count even weave. It's a lovely sort of creamy ivory colour, rather than stitching on white, because white can be a bit like sort of stark, and my eyes don't get on with white sometimes. So it's really weird, actually. I can stitch really well on dark Aja, and then sometimes the white really messes my eyes up. So I went for an off-white, and actually JC's going to put a picture up, if he hasn't already, of what it looks like when it's finished. This colour will sit really well behind the colours, actually, in the stitching. It's quite a nice sort of fit to it. Right, stop trying to fold it, just talk. It's been stitched 1/1. I'm doing it with the Cold for DMC threads, and if we're talking about sort of finish size, finish area, the stitch count area wise is 525 wide by 787 high, which puts it at 19 by 28 inches or 48 by 71 centimetres, I think that says. Yeah, it does. So I'm doing this as a stitch along. I started it as a stitch along with my lovely friend Jo, Stitch Cat Lady on YouTube, or Stitch Cat Lady 26 on Instagram, because we both had Rob Carlos Dragon Stitch. I mentioned this in one of my very, very first floss tubes, I think, and Jo went, I've got Rob Carlos, and it all sort of went from there. Now, Jo isn't stitching the same thing as me. Jo's stitching Planet Dragons and has got a lot further on, although I think Jo started further than I did, to be fair, although I can't, Jo's made progress. And Planet Dragons looks absolutely amazing, so if you want to see that, go check out Jo, Stitch Cat Lady. Go check out Jo's channel. She's lovely, she's absolutely amazing to watch anyway. But Rob Carlos Planet Dragons is a really cool piece, and is the sort of, I won't say the sister piece to this, but because it's not in terms of Rob's designs, but it is in terms of our stitch along. So yeah, we were doing hashtag Rob Carlos Fantasy Style, and yeah, cause reasons, it hasn't really had any love since 2021. Just the first sort of couple of hundred stitches I put in it, and yeah, this is fine. Should have stitched on it. I love the pattern, I love the design, it's beautiful, and bad me, bad on me. But yeah, so that is inactive work in progress number 1 that I'm carrying through into 2024. And like I say, we're starting 2024 with 227 stitches. So inactive work in progress number 2, got no love in 2023. And to be fair, I think most of these got no love in, well, these two definitely didn't get no love in 2022, Finding Fantasy. And this one is the Cryptid Stitch Along. Right, okay, I know I say it every time, this fabric smells amazing. Like, it smells so good. I love getting this out just for the fabric. But I digress. Cryptid Stitch Along. The designer is the Witchy Stitcher, and I started this on the 16th of August 2021. Okay, let me get here. I can see what's going on with my notes. So it was a stitch along, a SAL, and the release schedule was, I'm sure it was weekly or every 2 weeks, but then we had an occasional break, and then it actually finished on the 21st of January 2022. But we had like a month to stitch the frame. As you can see, that went well. That went very well. It's a beautiful frame. It's been stitched on 30 count, Old Salem linen by the Primitive Hair, and I'm using the Cold for DMC, but I've done a little like conversion for the diamonds, like for a bit of sparkle. I don't think you can see it, but the bats. Come on, focus. There we go. They probably. Oh no, you can a little bit. The bat sparkly at the top here. Sparkly bat. So I've not done it for all of it because I stitched something all with diamond like a year ago, and yeah, that nearly finished me off. So I'm not doing it all, just little highlights of it, little nice little bits of it, with sparkly threads. I'm stitching it 2/2. In terms of stitched area, it's 199 wide by 244 high, which means it's about 13 by 6 inches or 33 by 40 centimetres, I believe. So there you go. The fabric is getting blown out slightly. It's a bit darker. I get a bit of card. Sorry, feathers. I'm going to evict you from your card. That's possibly a bit better. Slightly better. It's a bit more richer. You can sort of see where these are lighter. It's sort of a bit more well, sort of the ivory kind of colour that came through on the other one. So yeah. Anyway, Cryptid Sal, hashtag Cryptid Sal. Loads of people have done it. Loads of people have finished it. This is actually how. Well, I think one of the reasons why my lovely friends and I got together. We were stitching the Cryptid Stitch Along together. Look how well that went. I mean, the rest is history. We're still really good friends, and we chat pretty much every day in group chat. I ain't finished a stitch along though, but I'm not feeling bad because I'm not the only one. I think Morty hasn't finished it. I think Joe finished it. Don't know what Jennaman's doing. I'm sure Rim finished it. I think Carrie possibly finished it as well. Anyway, can't remember. Because it was that long ago and I haven't done it. But we are bringing cryptids into 2024 with 2,098 stitches in that frame. So that's the point of stitching where we be at for Cryptid Stitch Along. Right, let me just pop feathers back since I've robbed that line. Shall I just take that down there just in case I need it? Feathers can go there and you can go there. I have stacks of things. Not as many stacks because I put it all away. I've had to get everything else again because the sound didn't work. I'm blaming Vodafone. I am like seriously considering changing mobile network provider just because I accidentally muted my microphone answering the phone to them. Now we're having to do this all again. I hope it's okay. I am trying to be enthusiastic about it all and take it on the chin. Not that JC will say that, having lived with me for the past 48 hours, when he told me there was no sound. And I went, are you joking? And he goes, would I joke about something like that? He would. But he wasn't. He was not. So yeah. There we go. Right. Inactive work in progress. Number 3, the final inactive work in progress. So this is the Mothman stitch along. Now, I was going to say Mothman's my favourite cryptid. Is Mothman my favourite? Mothman's top 3. Okay, so we're talking Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot and Mothman. Loch Ness Monster's possibly number 3. Bigfoot, Mothman, I don't know, they might be tied for the top spot. Anyway, so Wolfpack Creations is the designer, and they did, and I love what they do. So this is another designer that to me has a very unique style. Okay, so I can look at something and I can think, oh, that's Wolfpack Creation. Now I started this on the 26th of December 2021, and it was a stitch along. Okay, so that's where I've got now. I made some slight alterations to it as I was going along. So the release schedule was 16th November 2021, and it was monthly, finishing in May 2022. Okay, so the fabric is 18 Count Grey Clouds by Claire Brown Egg Stitch. That's my favourite fabric that I can't get anymore. I love it so much. And I altered a few bits of here, and I've actually chopped a chunk out at the bottom there that I wasn't really fussed about doing because it was Men in Black and like sort of black cars, and I know Men in Black are significant in the Mothman story. However, I wasn't that bothered about including them. So the issue is I was stitching this and everything was fine, and I decided to omit the cars and things and blah, 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 and the final bit was Mothman. Okay, now this is not the Mothman that was charted. This is my interpretation of Mothman, because the Mothman that was charted fit the pattern, looked really good, and to be fair, the wings are kind of like based on the wings that were in the chart by Wolfpack Creations. However, that wasn't my Mothman. That wasn't how I saw Mothman. You can see Mothman? I mean, I shouldn't see Mothman. That wasn't how I envisaged Mothman. So I set to work tweaking things to make it my own. And that's where the issue started, because I don't mind like designing things and doing bits and stuff like that. However, doing it and then stitching it, I kind of lost interest in it. I think that's probably why. And it's so close to being finished because literally I've just got to do Mothman and that's it. That's the only bit that's left. And that's bad, because that could be I mean, it wouldn't be a quick finish because I've got to like make it symmetrical and fill stuff in and stuff, but quick enough, wouldn't it? But instead it's just been languishing with no love for probably over it. In fact, yeah, I can't think that I stitched on it much in 2022. I don't know, I haven't got a record of that. However, yeah, literally just got to do that. I mean, like, you can tell when I get frustrated with things, because that's when I don't bother finishing threads. What can I say? Anyway, so yeah, stitching that on my lovely Grey Clouds Ada that I can't get anymore, so I'm gutted about that. 2/1. In terms of stitched area, I think it was 149 wide by 189 high, but mine's not going to be that high because I chopped the bottom section off. Asked JC to put a picture so you can sort of see the bits I chopped off. So size-wise, 8 by 10.5 inches, about 21 by 26 centimetres. And it was hashtag Mothman Sal, I believe, and that I'm starting 2024 with an unknown amount of stitches because I've heavily tweaked Mothman and I didn't bother counting when I was doing it, so I don't know. We're starting 2024 with half a Mothman, which is nearly finished. So yeah, there we go. Okie dokie, so active works in progress. Right, the next things you're going to see were all new starts in 2023. Yes, they were. So just staring at that. I love that so much. Give me 2 seconds while I just like try and lint roller. 2 corgis, 3 cats. Black fabric. It's like a constant battle. Okay, so number 1, and these are going in, I think, the order of that I last touched them, I think. So, active works in progress. Epic Pokemon. I love Bulbasaur. I love this Bulbasaur. Check it out. I mean, don't check out the mark there. There's no fur on it, that's okay. Yeah, look at little Bulba. It looks so good. It really does. Like, not like, again, not my stitching, not blowing my trumpet, but the design. So the designer is Lord Libidon, and I'm doing a version of Lord Libidon's free pattern, which is available in the Pokemon Cross Stitches group on Facebook. I started this on the 15th of April 2023 on black 18 count, so I got Ada. I'm using the threads that are called for in the colour, like the recolour version of it. It's basically sort of people start stitching it up and they have brains like me, and they thought that they were doing some of the Pokemon and the colours weren't quite right, so they tweaked the colours, and then I don't know how it evolved in the Pokemon Cross Stitches group, but people just keep recolouring until it's like exactly as it should be. So nothing against Lord Libidon's amazing chart, which JC is going to pop up on the screen for us for what it looks like when it's finished. Just when it was being stitched, some people thought actually that's a better reflection of that Pokemon's colour, changed it up, recoloured it. So the original chart was free. The charts in the Pokemon Cross Stitch group are free as well. Don't ever pay for one of these epic generation patterns because they are free. It's been stitched 2/1. See, I'm going to undo this, and that was all like, it's this inside hairs. Stitching it 2/1, and oh god, that is really furry. I hold it back so you can't see as many of the cat hairs or like general fuzz. That's where we're talking in terms of that's a lot. It's 256 wide by 450 high. I think the stitch count I've got it as about 110,000 stitches, but I'm not doing the red and the blue background, so it was Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue were the original two games, and the background was those colours, but I just like it on the background as itself, so I'm not doing that. So I think that 110,000-ish, I think it's 109,000 something, was worked out, I think, without including the background, but some of the little background bits might be still in pattern keeper, so it's an approximation. Size is going to be 14-ish wide by 25 inches, high, which is 36 by about 63 centimetres, and this I started as a stitch along with my lovely friend Jen, Ms J Foxy Stitches on Instagram, and we were doing hashtag Foxy Rogues versus Epic Pokemon. How's that for one? It was a stroke of genius. We started this at one of the crew retreats, that's how I met Jen, and the crew stitching retreats hosted by Ladybird. We sort of, at the one previously, we were like, oh, like that, and then we both said we wanted to stitch it, so we made a promise to ourselves that the next one we would start stitching it, and then here we are. Now Jen, I'll pop Jen's tag for Instagram below, and Jen started top right, whereas I've started bottom left, because I want to stitch them in number order, so Bulbasaur's number 1, and we're going to go across and we're going to stitch them in order. Now I'm not saying Jen's a monster starting top right, but why wouldn't you stitch them from number 1, Jen? Why wouldn't you do that? She's not a monster, she's really lovely. Although bottom left, top right. And we are starting 2024 with 763 stitches in that piece. So there we go. You would be forgiven for thinking Bulbasaur was my favourite Pokemon. Bulbasaur isn't my favourite Pokemon. Psyduck is my favourite Pokemon because I can resonate with Psyduck, and I feel his head pain when his head about to explode, because that's what I feel like a lot of the time. I'm just picking bits off black fabric, excuse me, because the next work in progress is, sorry, I've got the lint roller on it again, just give me 2 seconds, is Pokemon Lyrics Bulbasaur. And we've got, I think it's that way up, that far. We had got further. I stitched stuff in the wrong colour and I had to unpick it. And as I told you previously, you can tell when I get frustrated or fed up with something because I just leave threads dangling. So yeah, can you tell what it's supposed to look like? No, you can't. So JC is going to put something up on the screen. I think if I ask him nicely, he will put up Bulbasaur, and also it's part of a collection of 4. So he might very kindly put us up what all 4 look like when they are finished. So this is the lyrics to the Pokemon theme song shaped into the shape of Pokemon, the first 4 starter Pokemon. So it's Bulbasaur, Charmander, come on George, Squirtle and Pikachu. Now the thing that bothers me, and it's always bothered me about the finished piece picture with the 4 on, is that they're not in the right order and the lyrics aren't in the right order. So I intend to rectify that and display them in the correct order once I've finished all 4 of them, but this is how far we've got on the first one, so that's not going to be anytime soon. So the designer was Embroidery Art for Kids, and I believe this pattern is not available anymore. I started it on the 25th of October 2023, and yeah, I didn't get very far. I got like well over 100 stitches in, like properly, and then yeah, I figured that was the wrong colour that I'd stitched in, so I didn't pick it all. Because I wasn't concentrating. I know I wasn't concentrating. I can't remember what I was doing, but I remember scolding myself, going, "You should have known you'd do that," because you were doing whatever was at the same time. I'm stitching it with the called for threads. I'm stitching it 2/1. The stitched area is 173 wide by 163 high, so it's not squarish, but not massive. I mean, if I just, that's the piece I'm doing it on. I did centre start, so I've got plenty of border there. In terms of stitch count, it's it's about 12,000 stitches, so it's not too bad, and it's going to be about 9.5 by 9 inches or 24 by 23 centimetres when it's complete. And I'm starting 2024 with a grand old 54 stitches in that. 54 stitches. If you want to see more than 54 stitches, then I know Sew Stitch Sew Nat on Instagram and Flosstube. Nat was stitching it as a Christmas present, and I believe Nat has finished it, and I'm going to like reveal someone else's goals, but I think Nat's put this on Instagram, is going to do the next one. It's one of her goals for this year. So it's Charmander, it's not Charizard, is it? It's Charmander, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's where we are with that one. Next, Poltergeist Pirates. I love this. I loved this when I first saw it, and JC very, very kindly got me it as a present a couple of birthdays ago. And here we are. So JC is going to very kindly put something up on the screen about what it looks like when it's finished, because I think it's this way. You can't really tell what it's going to be. There's a theme going on here. Can you tell what that theme is? The theme is, I ain't got very far on some of these. So, oh, that's the back. That'd help, wouldn't it? There we go. I believe it's that way up. Don't quote me on it. So this is Poltergeist Pirates by Glendon Place. I'm just going to make it so I see the teeny tiny stitches. Well, not teeny tiny, but it's quite nice. It's been stitched on Bang, the called for linen by Crosswind Collection. It's 28 count linen. I'm stitching it 2/2. I have everything called for because JC kindly bought me all like a little pack with like little notiony things in and all the fancy threads and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I have everything for it that is called for. terms of stitched area, it's going to be 295 wide by 241 high, so it's not going to go right to the edge of this. We've got loads of space on this fabric, which will put it about 21 by 17 inches, which is about 53 by 43 centimetres. So in terms of stitch count, the maximum that it could be is 71,000 stitches, but it's going to be nowhere near that because there's loads of, it's not full coverage, there's loads of gappy bits. I'm not sure what it's going to be though, because it's a paper pattern. Can't put it into Pattern Keeper. Well, I could force it into submission possibly. However, I just like dot it, like I take a photo, put it into Zodo, which is PDF read wrap, and I just play crap bingo and put dots on where I've stitched things. This was an enable. So at the last retreat, Emma X Stitching and Joe were there again. Hi. It was lovely seeing them again. And they were doing lots of great things, including their wreaths. I think Joe had a Halloween wreath and Emma had a Christmas one, or vice versa, or they might have both been anyway, the gorgeous wreath patterns they were doing. And Emma was stitching Wrendale as well, I believe, at that one. And a few people were stitching this and had started it together. And it's sort of like, if you've not been to a retreat before, it's like big tables and you sort of wander around and see what people are doing, and that's what Emma and Joe had done, and I was doing that as well. And we just got chatting, and they said, "Oh, have you seen like Poltergeist Pirates?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've got Poltergeist Pirates," and they're like, "Oh well, we're going to start it. We really love it," and I'm like, "I could start that as well." So that was a stitch along with Joe Belushi Stitches and Emma X Stitching on YouTube and Instagram. And so we sort of, you enabled me. I had the stuff, you made me start it. It's your fault, people. It's their faults. So, not that I'm complaining, because it's lovely and I needed to start it. But we've all started in different places, I think. Well, I know Emma's got the moon, so Emma must be top left. And then Joe, I don't know if Joe started in the centre but then went a different direction to me, or just got more done than I did. Because let's face it, in the grand scheme of things, you can't even tell what that is. That's not the right way around. You can't even tell what that is, and it's part of a sale. I promise. So yeah, it looks really good. I'm really looking forward to stitching it. The same as all these things. I mean, they say only stitch what you love, and that's what I do. That's what I try to do, unless it's a gift. And even then, I still have to love it, because you don't want to stitch on it if you don't, do you? So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing their progress on that. The lovely folks at the crew retreat see their progress on it in April when we go back, and then actually make some progress on that myself. So there we go. Poltergeist Pirates by Glendon Place. Next. Okay. Next work in progress. There aren't too many now. I've just seen what's next. Makes me happy. Not that these don't make me happy, but I really like the next one. I like this. I like them all, but you'll see in a second. Okay, Lola Crow. So we've got 1, 2, 3 ornaments done in Lola Crow's Creepy Christmas Village ornament stitch along. So Lola Crow designed this and the stitch along started 3rd of November, and I think I started it on that day. So that was that was number 1, that was number 2 release, and that was number 3 release. And then we're going to have, I don't know which way I'm going to go, 4, 5, 6 possibly. Anyway, I didn't get that far because I started my Christmas panic stitching instead of doing this, I think. So these are gorgeous, and I love these so much. It says picking bits of blue pop. They are stitched on, this fabric is Elephant Run, showing pretty well. It's 16 count Ada by Fox and Rabbit Designs. I'm stitching with a call for DMC. I'm stitching 2/1. Each ornament is in itself 52 by 52 in terms of stitched area, although it's not full coverage, as you can see. And there were going to be 6 ornaments, which is why I've plotted out sort of 6 spaces. You can kind of see the green like sort of anchoring stitches. So green is the outline, yellow is my centre start, and then the reds are just sort of for alignment on the fabric. So the ornaments were supposed to be stitched as individual pieces and individual things. However, I decided to stitch it all on one piece of fabric. Now I know if you were one of the people that was telling me that each thing is a finish, I know you are right. My brain would not let me count them as finishes individually. Okay, we've already established that my brain works in weird and wonderful ways, and JC can testify to this so much. Oh, that poor guy, he didn't know what he was getting into when we got married. However, I agree with all you folks who said one ornament is one finish, but because, do you know what, I don't even think it's because I'm doing it on one piece of fabric. I think it's just because I'm hardwired that way. Because it's not complete, the thing, the entity, and it's in parts, even though each part is an individual thing, because it's parts of a whole thing, it's not wholly finished until it's all done, which is why I've not counted this. I mean, hypothetically, that's what, 18 finishes. My brain just ticked when I did that. I just went, no, it's not. So no, it's not, even though it is. I know you're right, I just can't. And it's not even like I can't bring myself to say it. You're correct. All those lovely people who commented on the last proper video going, it's okay, each ornament's a finish. I know. However, it was 6 ornaments, which is why I've got 6 places, but I believe a bonus ornament got released, which I'm hoping will go there, because I was going to put like Lola Crow, Creepy Christmas Village or something like that in the middle, because there was a nice font that she used and I could have like backstitched that, but I think I've got enough room for the centre ornament, and then maybe I'll put something underneath, or maybe I can like fit something on each side. I don't know, I haven't got there yet. Let's face it, I've got 3 ornaments, I'm nowhere near there yet. However, I mean, they didn't take long to stitch up, but they're quite, there's a lot of colours in that little space, so I reckon they're probably, I can't remember what they were probably 12 to 1500 stitches in each one. And yeah, so there's not a lot of colour, but there's a lot of colour changes, which made it a bit sort of like, not confetti, not in terms of like hay or something like that, but it was like fairly colour changey, so it wasn't like an easy 1000 stitches or so. So yeah, that's that one. I need to do 3 more ornaments plus a bonus ornament if I can fit it on here, and that's going to come out, each ornament's about 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches, so what's that, like 9 by 9 centimetres thereabouts, something like that. And yeah, there we go. That's why that's not in the finishers, because my brain doesn't work like that. Now this I love. This is my last, oh, I don't know how many, okay, Poltergeist Pirates, I don't know how many stitches I'm going into 2024 in, hang on. I'm going in with, come on. I've got Poltergeist Pirates down at 375 stitches to take into 2024, and I've got Creepy Christmas Village stitch along altogether, that was 3,510 stitches, not including any like bits and bobs, any back stitching and stuff. So you can sort of see like that's the size of the 3 ornaments. But yeah, that's why we're starting it for there. Now this is my favourite thing at the minute, and I am fickle, I do get different favourite things at different times, but this has been my favourite thing for a very, very long time. Well, not a very, very long time, because I started it on the 8th of November 2023. Now this is the Odyssey Stitch Along. This is by Quaternion Creations, and it's a stitch along a Sal, which charts the Odyssey of Homer. It charts Odysseus going home, and it's in one of the epic poems. Now, by Homer. So, well, if Homer isn't one entity, but that's a different debate. Now, I'm a child of classics and history, and one of my degrees is in sort of humanities and all that kind of stuff, art history and classical civilizations. And this, when I saw it announced, I was like, I am in. Okay, I don't know why I like stitching. I think it's like one of those things where it all came together. So there are two, I mean, obviously you can stitch it however you want on whatever you want, but there are two suggestions. One of them's a blue fabric, which has been designed and dyed by the Stitchy Ferret specifically for the stitch along. But the issue with the blue fabric was that it was white threads, and I do hate stitching with white threads because they don't sit properly for me. I don't like how they look. So I'll always pick greys and blacks and dark threads over like whites and creams if I can do. Having said that, I've got Finding Fantasy to stitch, and that's got a crap ton of cream thread in it, but hey ho. Anyway, so there was a gold background option and I was struggling to find fabric for it, and at the crew retreat, not to keep banging on about it, Luella's Fabrics was there, and I saw this fabric and I walked around sort of like hugging it, and then I measured it and I worked out it would fit, and then yeah, it just, everything fits together so nicely, and the colour is not showing up with the fabric as great as it should do. So it's called Savannah and it's a 35 count linen. That's not too bad. Just hold it like this for a while. 35 count linen, Savannah. Luella's Fabrics is on Facebook if you want to check them out. They've just started doing a Fabric of the Month club, like so every 2 months though. And sign-ups have just started for that, so I've signed up for the 35 count linen one. I'm stitching it 2/2. The stitched area is 173 wide by 231 high. It's for this version it's DMC 310 and 304 with a cold for threads, and that's what I've stitched it in. And stitch count wise, obviously it's a mystery stitch along, so I think you can go on the website and one of the final images is how it's going to look right at the end, but I didn't want to see that. So I wanted it to remain a mystery stitch along, so I'm not going to put a picture up of what it looks like when it's finished because I don't want to know. So I'm going to be selfish there. However, if you want to know, if you go to Quaternion Creations website, who designed this, look for the Odyssey stitch along. You can see on there, I believe, what it looks like. So yeah, I think it's just a combination of a brilliant pattern, gorgeous fabrics, colours that complement each other, and I love stitching on it so much. The maximum stitch count it could be is about 41,000, but as you can see it's going to be nowhere near that because it's not full coverage and there's loads of gaps. So I'm thinking we're on part 7 of 10 and I'm on 7,671 stitches according to my notes. So each release apart from the frames probably about 700 to 1,200 stitches max, I think. So we'll probably top 10,000 stitches, but it won't be much more than that. In terms of size, actual size of this, it's not too shoddy, it's not small, it's like a medium, I guess. Medium, not full coverage. It's about 14 by 18.5 inches, so about 36 by 47 centimetres, and I loves it. This is what I was stitching on in between finishing the Scandi Deer and my brain on the 30th going, we could get those 15 finishes, you know, because I really wanted to catch up with this because I love actually physically stitching on it, even though it's covered in fuzz and stuff. So yeah, one last look, getting close. I don't want to jinx, I'm going to jinx it. The frame is all lining up properly so far. But yeah, each part is about the journey of Odysseus. So we've got like Cyclops there, I've got Circe there, got going down to the underworld, so each got like different segments going on. So I just finished part 7, so I think part 8 is coming along not too far away. We have rest weeks in there, but it's only going until the 14th of February, so we won't be too long as which we're quite disappointing, although I have loads of stuff by Quaternion Creations that I need to stitch. Lots of, again, it's a designer for me who I know, I look at one of the things they've done, or at least a stitch along, and go, I know who that is, and they're brilliant. And what I really, sorry, I'm gushing, what I really love about these stitch alongs, because I've got the Very Viking stitch along, I've got the Eternal Goddess one from them as well, is the detail that comes in with like the pack of information with the PDF, because it's like above and beyond. It's not just like, here's week 3, here's week 4. It's like, in this weekend it tells you a story, and it's absolutely the quality of what you get in terms of the media and the stories and everything is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, if you've not done a stitch along with them before, I think go onto Quaternion Creations website. If anything appeals to you that was a stitch along, I'm sure you get the full pack with all the information that was the weekly releases. And if they do any more stitch alongs in the future, I would strongly recommend doing it if you think you will like the pattern and you won't be disappointed by what you get each time there is a release. There we go. So those are all my 2023 works in progress, everything I'm carrying over. That one, just for prosperity, what did I say I was on? I said I was on the stitch count. I don't need to say it again. It's about 7,000 stitches. 7671, not that it matters, but I'm up to date with that. So that is my stitch along that I have kept up to date with. I thought it was going to be Lola Crow. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was going to be the Creepy Christmas ornaments. But it wasn't. I love the Odyssey just a teeny tiny bit more. There you go. Wouldn't have thought of that. Right, I have one new start for 2024. So I think a lot of people do this if they do floss tubes or that kind of thing, or do anything on social. You don't like to put stitches in stuff before you sort of show it, and like, this is my starting point for this year, for that project. So that's what I did. However, I owe this. So this is Circus by Urban Stitchers, and I started this on the 1st of January 2024. It's on a cut of Elephant Run. It's what's left over from the Lola Crow sal. It just sort of fit. It will fit, although it'll fit Wolf Down the Rabbit Hole. Jen will be proud. Well, I don't know. I'm not quite at your level, I don't think, yet of fabric chicken, but it will be the Y going to go down there a little bit. So not as massive a margin as what I'm used to, but Jen will be proud of me for just sucking it up and doing it on when it's not a massive margin. So it's called Circus. Now, there's a story behind this. So this is what I was going to stitch for JC, and I said sort of for Christmas, but it was never going to be for Christmas because I saw it and I was just like, yeah, we need to have that, or he needs to have that. It's something we need to have in the house or him in the office, because one of our go-to sayings that we've adopted is not my circus, not my monkeys. And an ex-colleague used to say that phrase. And when I first heard it, I was like, that's genius. Have you just made that up? But obviously you don't ask people, you Google it, don't you? So I Googled it, found out it was a thing. I believe it's sort of an Eastern European origin. That's what Google said anyway. I think when I sort of had a look. And yeah, here we are. We use it all the time now. However, the JC is going to put a picture of what it looks like when it's finished up. And it's a bit of a ye olde worldy way of saying it. So and off the top of my head, it is, be these not yours, neither the circus nor the monkeys. So we've got the circus, none at the moment. So neither the circus nor the monkeys. And then we've got a really fancy bee going in there. Now, we had a bit of debate in the common whether this would actually pop or not on this fabric, and the black is popping, so I'm really hoping the colours do as well. And if not, I'll do some backstitch magic to make it so, because I don't know. I just, when you think that's got to go on there, and I like went through my fabric stash and tried to find something, and I was just like, no, that belongs on this piece. That's what it was meant for. So 16 count Ada, Elephant Run by Fox and Rabbit Designs, same as the Lola Crow because it's the leftover cut. Called for DMC threads. I'm stitching it 2/1, and it's going to be 154 wide by 104 high in terms of stitched area. In terms of stitch count, it's 5,187 stitches because it's a digital pattern. I don't have to count it, and I'm 1,186 stitches in. I'm almost 1,200 stitches in, I think. And I'm really enjoying it. It's going to be about 9.5 inches by 6.5 inches when it's done. So about 24 by 17 centimetres. And like, doesn't it look pretty already? Like, I'm really happy with that and how it's stitching up. Like, I love the font. I love the saying. And then I saw the saying and how Urban Stitches had charted it, and I was like, yes. And then like the font, it just all comes together really, really nicely. So it's a really lovely design. So yeah, not my circus, not my monkeys, be they not yours, neither the circus nor the monkeys. And there we go. That's all I've got to show you again. Because I've already done this one, so there's no sound. And I hope I've done it justice. Because I'd done my moping. So I was like sort of in the right frame of mind to do this again, sort of. And put some energy into it. I've crashed the last couple of days. It wasn't that. I don't know what's wrong. I've just got no energy whatsoever. But I had a little burst of energy. I've got my chosen caffeine. So yeah, I thought let's do it. Get it over and done with. JC can stop, I say nagging. He's not nagging. Or bullying is a bit. Stop mentioning it. And I can just stop going, I'm just going to delete the files. And I'll just do an update in the middle of January. Because that's almost what happened. So we're going to finish off with 2024 plans, and we're going to do this really quickly because this is possibly longer than the original one. Oh no, it's probably about the same, apart from now I can see the sound bouncing up and down. So 2024 plans. I was speaking to my friend Carrie, okay, DNA Geek Crafts, about potential plans and things, and we were on like a meet, we were in Discord, in video chat, voice chat. We were stitching and we were talking about things, and Carrie'd sort of come to the realisation, I don't think she'll mind me saying this, that there were some things that she wasn't working on because of other things she was trying to do to get finishes in. And I sort of realised I was in the same boat. And my my Finding Fantasy and finishing the Cryptid Stitch Along, and there's some other big things I want to start. And other starts that I want to do that aren't even necessarily massive, but I was focusing on, I want to get 15 finishes. Not that I didn't love what I stitched on or that it wasn't the right gift for the right person, but there are things that I wasn't going to invest my time in because they wouldn't actually go towards my goal. So I'm in very much a similar boat to Carrie, and we were talking about it, and I realised that, yeah, actually, I'm never going to stitch on these things because what I normally do is increment my finishes by one. So this year, if I was going to do what I've done in previous years, I would be on, right, my goal is 16 finishes this year because I'd done 15 last year. And that's what you do. If you get a goal and you meet the goal, you increment the target, right? This is what we do. That's what I've been doing, which has meant some things have suffered. So here we are. We're going to do things a bit differently this year. I am going to drop my number of finishers and I'm going to go by stitch count instead, because if I go by stitch count then and drop my number of finishers, it means I should be able to stitch on things and not be worried about the number of finishers. Having said that, we've got 2 in here if we need to, and I've also got the Hocus Pocus version of this as well. I just got it from Amazon, and it was cheap. It was under £10. So we can get the finishers if we need them, but I'm going to drop them, so I'm not focusing on them, to 5. Okay, so base goal, which indicates stretch goals, we'll talk with in a second. Base goal, 5 finishers. Okay, so we're slashing the finishers total so that I can stitch on other things and not feel like I need to try and push things for a finish or feel guilty like I should be doing something. Because let's face it, Finding Fantasy, I know I didn't say the stitch count of what it was. I've got it in here. Finding Fantasy, for example, tangenting, is here, and that's a good job I put it in there, so that'd been a waste of time. 413,175 stitches. So it's not like I'd ever finish that in a year. Might not finish that in 4 years. But I didn't want to waste the time stitching on it because it wouldn't have counted towards a finish. So we're doing away with that this year, and we're going by 5 finishers and 100,000 stitches. Those are my base goals. Now, this is the first year I've tracked my stitching properly in terms of number of stitches, like stitch count and that kind of thing. I know I had big chunks missing, but I seem to drop between sort of the 7,000 and the 10,000 stitches a month on a, not on a bad month, but on one where I've got lots of days where I don't actually stitch, or I don't put the effort in and I'm like not concentrating properly. Not that, okay, no, we'll come to that later. But yeah, so yeah, I think 100,000 stitches is a good gateway target that I might overshoot, possibly, hopefully, but it gives me the freedom, I guess, to stitch on pretty much whatever I want because of the 5 finishes. So that's the base goals. So the stretch goals, you know, why just put one set of arbitrary things in to your life that don't actually matter, but you're going to hold yourself to in terms of the whole year. Yeah, stretch goals. Keep up with 1 stitch along, which is a bit of a cheat because I know I'm going to keep up with the Odyssey stitch along, but I know it's going to happen. So I'm carrying that through. I'm carrying that goal through. Unless something happens, that yeah, it will be the Odyssey stitch along. Okay. I want to start a Gecko Rouge. Now, if you've watched FlossTube Extra, one of the recent ones I've done, I got the Gecko Rouge, Gecko Boo Mystery Halloween box, and it was gorgeous. It was beautiful colours. It was amazing. The quality of the box was absolutely fantastic. However, the design was a skull, and even though the colours it used were absolutely beautiful, I'm not a skull person. So I did what any rational, reasonable person would do, and I've got 3 Gecko Rouge kits on order now. Because I felt bad about not liking it, but also because I've gotten them eyeing up for a while, like sort of what kits they were. And also my mum said, what do you want for your birthday? I don't know what to get you. And I'm like, I don't know what to get me. She's like, is there any cross stitch stuff? And I was like, oh, actually. And then JC's mum very kindly got me a Gecko Rouge voucher as well. And so yeah, it all came together nicely. And just yeah, I've got sort of 3 things on back order with them. They're waiting for like a big threads order, I think, so they can start kitting things up. So I want to start one of those. I've already got a Gecko Rouge I could start. That's not the skull. No. Okay, right, okay, doesn't matter. We're going to start one of those. Right, and then things I ought to do. I ought to finish the Mothman, didn't I, really? Let's face it. Just pull my finger out, finish like sort of designing it, and then actually stitch it and just do it, because that's so close to a finish that that's ridiculous that that's just been left for that long. That's what, like maybe 1,000 stitches or something, if that. It shouldn't take that long. It shouldn't have been left that long. I want to make progress on cryptids. This is where I've got to be careful, because I'm like seeing my stitch count of 100,000 stitches just like obliterated. So I want to finish, I want to make progress on cryptids. I don't want to finish cryptids. That was a slip of the tongue. That was not a Freudian slip. I'm not. However, it's only about 18,000 stitches. And I was thinking like, well, maybe we could do like 1 a month or something, but maybe not 1 a month, because like, even though I like goals, I don't like rigid goals to stick to, because then I rebel against those goals and either procrastinate and then panic stitch, or I don't do it at all. Weird brain. However, I want to make progress on cryptids, even if it's just finishing the frame and then we deal with it next year or whatever. I don't know. I want to stitch more on that, because that, again, that's bad that that's been carried over. And then here's the issue. If I finish the Mothman stitch along, and if I get significant progress on cryptids, that's probably about, I don't know, like maybe just under 20k stitches. Heaven and Earth Designs launched a stitch along. Now it's finished now. I can't join it, which is really good, because like I had many conversations about this where I had to be talked off the ledge, because I love Heaven and Earth Designs so much, and then they sort of teased everything, and I was like, yes, I want to do the Haid Sal, and then I looked at the patterns and none of them called to me. They're all beautiful, however none of them are me, and I was gutted. I won't say it again, I promise, JC, but I was really not really upset in the grand scheme of things, but like I was disappointed that I didn't love any of them as much as I wanted to, like to the point I was like bouncing between them going, I could stitch that one, I kind of like that one, but in reality there's 60,000 stitches, okay? If I'm going to put 60,000 stitches into something and it's a heaven and earth design, let's face it, I want it to be Finding Fantasy. So I'm not saying I'm going to put 60,000 stitches into Finding Fantasy, however, I'm going to make progress on it, and if that happens, then that would be quite good, wouldn't it? But then that would take up a significant chunk of my stitches, and wouldn't allow me to progress on epic Pokemon, which I also want to do. And I was thinking, well, I could do a Pokemon a week, that would be fine, that would make progress on that. And I'm like, no, because that's, and then everything else I want to stitch as well. So basically I need to sort my head out. I know what I want to do, like basically, but then we're just going to see what happens for the rest of the year. But I'm just going to say these things out loud. I'll be happy with, even if I don't do all of these, even though I'm saying them and I know I'm going to hold myself accountable to it now. Keep up with One Stitch Along, start a Gecko Rouge, finish the Mothman Stitch Along, make progress on Cryptids, not necessarily finish it, make progress on Finding Fantasy. Wouldn't it be good if it could be 60,000 stitches and it was sort of like a Haid Stitch Along, even though it wasn't the Haid Stitch Along? And then make progress on epic Pokemon. Wouldn't it be nice to do a Pokemon a week? Because then that would be 53 Pokemon that I'd done, and that was sort of like a third there. So yeah, there we go. Those are my plans, sort of, mostly. And then I've got to find room for other things as well. So you can see how my sort of my like 100,000 stitches kind of obliterated itself there just in a couple of minutes and didn't leave me much room. So we'll see how we go. And that's it, yeah. So I'm not going to go into the usual life updates because this is long enough, although I have updates, I have things, I have recommendations, and I read books. That's a different story. I didn't read books, I listened to books, and that's a whole different level of like George, yeah, brain. That my brain got me in December. So yeah, I'm going to reflect further, get my head sorted, get some stitching in, and what I'm going to do is I think I'll see you in a couple of weeks just for an update, where we're going, and if sort of like I've worked out what I want to actually do in terms of those stretch goals, and see if I've actually done any of them, because in a couple of weeks technically I should have stitched a Pokemon or two if I'm going to do that. We'll see. So yeah, I'm not going to say the usual like New Year's greetings and all that jazz, but because I know, I mean, from me as well, like, it's not Happy New Year necessarily. For some people it's just another day, and you know it's already going to be a challenging year. So yeah, I know it's not necessarily Happy New Year for everyone, and that's fine, that's okay. I mean, it's not fine and it's not okay, but it is. But I do wish you all the best whenever you're watching this, for today, for tomorrow, for the future, for the next year, for forever, okay? And thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me today. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, and I'll be back in a few weeks if you want to choose to spend your time with me again. I'd be very grateful, and you're more than welcome to. So thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.